Hello, my name is Mark Ramsey, and today we're going to spend time discussing the GenAI Pro solution from Ramsey International and how it can be used in the consulting industry. First of all, Ramsey International, I personally have been involved with data and analytics for well over 30 years. In the last 10 years, I've focused with Ramsey International on design and delivery of large scale data and analytics solutions in cloud, local, or hybrid delivery modes. More recently, we've focused on building solutions that can be used to accelerate these types of analytic environments. The one we're going to speak about today is the GenAI Pro solution, and it is specifically focused on helping organizations deliver enterprise level generative AI solutions in a quick and easy way, and able to be supported with multiple models and whether it's done locally or in the cloud. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the Gen AI Pro solution and give you a little bit of an introduction to it. And then we're going to dig into why it's a competitive advantage for consulting firms to make use of the Gen AI Pro solution. So Gen AI Pro is it's designed as an accelerator solution, and it supports three main modes. One is interactive chat, which is a very popular way to interact with Gen AI solutions. It also provides a very robust API so that clients can write custom code and interact with the underlying platform. And then lastly, it has a batch agent workflow that allows for a collection of very complex workflows that use one or multiple models. It is a no-code deployment, so that means the setup and everything is done through configuration settings and not through code. This means you don't have to identify JavaScript programmers and folks that are very familiar with the details of interacting with these different model platforms and vector databases and things like that. This is all done through the configuration settings. It also supports hybrid multi-model, which means that you can pick and choose and change between different models to use for the chat component of the solution, as well as the vector store and the underlying storage of the data that is used for the retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. So it's very flexible in how that comes together. It has a unique capability that supports multiple personalities. Personalities are collections of data. This gives you the ability to organize the data and capture it in different repositories based on the sources. That really helps improve the performance and the effectiveness of the solution. And then finally, it offers a unique capability in pseudonymization. And pseudonymization is a way to extract the sensitive data out of the source information and deliver it, and so that it could still be used in the answers, but it is not disclosed to the models, and it is also not stored in the embedding database. So it's a way to make use of sensitive data, but still protect it and keep it inside the organization, and not being disclosed to any of the third parties. So first of all, let's kind of walk through these different areas in a little bit more detail. You can see on the screen here that this is showing a few different ways that you can interact with the Gen AI Pro solution. At the top, on the left and the right, those are two different modes of the interactive chat. So you can see it's a very robust chat interface that allows the user to ask questions, get answers, and do it in a very quick way, but also very easy. In the lower right, you can see a little pop-up chat. This has been quite popular with organizations that would like to add a Gen AI chat to their website. They can very quickly add a very small number of lines of code to their website, and then the chat immediately becomes available. And then the lower left is just an example of a few steps of a workflow. In this particular case, it's asking a same question to multiple models to determine which model is actually delivering the most accurate result to that particular type of question. So you can see here it's showing the interactive chat, the pop-up chat, the batch workflow. Obviously, I really can't show the API interface, but it's a way that you can interact with the underlying solution through API calls versus a UI. This is just a quick example of one of the setup screens. So this is kind of giving you a little bit more detail on the no-code deployment. This particular screen, as you can see, is for the application itself. So it gives us the ability to change the title of the application. In this particular case, we're using GenAI PRO from Ramsey International. Very quickly, we can change that to be, Chat ABC for the ABC Corporation, or whatever custom title the client is interested in having. The same way with the response messages. So everything is customizable to make it very aligned with the client that you're delivering the solution with. There's a number of these setup screens. You can see at the top that the models is a setup screen. This gives us an ability to activate or deactivate any of the models that are supported by the solution, so that when a user wants to make a change and potentially use a different model, they will only see the models that are available for this particular client, and only the models that the client would like this user to be able to see. So it gives you all kinds of flexibility, not only customizing the overall solution, but all the way down to the user level. Now this screen shows the logos for all of the different components that we support with the GenAI Pro solution. So you can see that is a collection of hybrid multi-model deployment options. So OpenAI is probably one of the most popular solutions with their collection of models. But some organizations would only like to deploy models locally. So the Llama model from Meta is quite a popular model for delivering locally. For vector stores, we support Pinecone, Milvus, Databricks, Vectara. So the clients can pick and choose where they would like the questions to be answered through which chat platform and which models. And then also when you're capturing the source data, you can pick and choose which underlying vector store capability you'd like to use. Like I said, it could be Vectara, which is a quite popular and powerful platform for storing and retrieving the data. It could be using the Cosmos database from Azure. You could use Pinecone, which is quite popular in the cloud. So this gives the client the ability to pick and choose. And again, you don't need to have the resources to figure out all the details of each of those capabilities. On the multiple personalities, this again is for data isolation. So a personality is a knowledge collection. So for example, this could be collection of sales data for the sales department, finance data for the finance department, HR data for the HR department, and each of those personalities, the data is completely isolated, and when a question is asked, it is only the active personality that is used to retrieve information to answer that question. This gives you the ability to make sure that the sales department does not ask questions of the finance data, or that folks do not have access to the HR data when they're asking questions unless they have the proper user permissions. So that data isolation is extremely important. It also gives you very controlled access so that you make sure that when you're giving a specific user permission to the solution, you can control which one or multiple personalities they can select when they're trying to get questions answered. So it controls the access, it enhances the data security. It also gives you a very efficient data management so that you're not trying to put all the information into a single repository of data and slow down the effectiveness of the solution because it has to dig through a lot of unnecessary information. And probably one of the most important is that by having these isolated collections of source data, it significantly improves the accuracy and reduces the hallucinations from the model. So all of those things together are why the personalities are an extremely powerful capability and something that really needs to be leveraged within a proper enterprise level generative AI solution. And it is something that is included and is fundamental to the GenAI Pro solution. So you can take advantage of it immediately. And then lastly, the pseudonymization. I think one of the things that has been slowing down the deployment of generative AI solutions within organizations is this concern that they're going to disclose information that it's not going to be secure and it's going to go into a model and that model is then going to incorporate it within its training data and it will be available to other folks. And that is something that the pseudonymization process really assures that that is not going to happen, because the way that the pseudonymization process works is that it protects all of that sensitive data and actually removes it from the source data prior to creating the embeddings and before things are used with the model. So, give you a little bit of an example here. On the left-hand side, we have Michael Rodriguez. And there's a lot of sensitive data. This is, looks like it could be an HR solution where it has things like his password, blood type, credit score, date of birth, a lot of very sensitive information that you would not want the general population to have access to. However, if you're building an HR solution, it is important that this type of data be made available when the questions are appropriate and the user has access. So what happens in this particular case is that as that source data is being acquired, the GenAI Pro data pipelines have the pseudonymization process, which will identify any of the sensitive data, and then it replaces the data. So for example, on date of birth, it replaces his March 3rd, 1990 date of birth with a pseudonym, a token, and that is what gets stored in the embedding database, and that's what gets retrieved and sent to the model. But it is not anything that the model or the embedding database knows anything about. It's completely protected. But what's very powerful is that when a user asks the question in the system, so they go into the UI and they say, what is Michael Rodriguez's date of birth? If they have the appropriate access to that sensitive data, it will actually retrieve it, and then at the time in the UI, it will replace the token with the actual valid data, put the pieces back together, and deliver that to the UI. So it gives you that ability to take advantage of sensitive data. There's four real key reasons why the GenAI Pro solution is very powerful in consulting. One is certainly the no-code deployment, because you do not need to have a team of JavaScript developers, Python developers, people that are familiar with all of these different models, all of these different platforms. It literally is settings to really configure and deploy the solution for the client. So it simplifies the time, or it simplifies the solution, but it also accelerates the time. Which ties into the second bullet, which is this ability for rapid customization. So rather than doing a small POC that could really lead to nowhere, you can actually customize the solution and deliver something that could be deployed by the client very quickly and adopted. And it gives you the ability to have more depth and more engagement with the client versus just doing a small POC that doesn't go anywhere, or tie up resources or try to find resources that can help answer questions around custom development of this kind of a solution. Certainly the data security and privacy. I mentioned the pseudonymization, but also by having a packaged solution, you don't have to worry about, downloading something from GitHub, customizing it, and then accidentally not properly handling the overall security of the data as it flows through the system. All of that is already packaged up in the GenAI solution. And then lastly, the GenAI Pro solution is a very cost-effective way to get started and grow your penetration into the client, again, because it's very budget friendly. You can deliver a solution in a matter of hours, and so then you can direct your resources to identifying additional use cases, identifying broader sources of data that can be brought into the solution, other ways to help the client drive value. So by being very cost effective, that time to value is much faster than if you try to do a manual development with the client. So all of those things together as to why GenAI Pro is a very powerful solution in consulting. If you're interested in more information, please feel free to reach out to me directly, mark@ramsey.international. You can certainly check out our website. We also have other videos on both our website and our YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time today, and hopefully you've seen some of the benefits of the GenAI Pro solution from Ramsey International. Thank you very much.